Okay, so let's dive in. We're looking at something really universal today, something that, well, it touches almost everyone, but we often deal with it alone, in silence. I'm talking about a broken heart.
Yeah, it's a pain most people know.
Yeah.
And what really struck us looking at the material for this deep dive is how broad the definition is. It's way more than just romantic endings.
Right.
It can be that deep ache when a friendship just fades, or, the quiet grief when a dream you held on to collapses.
Or the shock of betrayal, maybe, something you just didn't see coming.
Exactly. Or even letting go of who you used to be. That's a kind of heartbreak, too.
And the reaction is often the same, isn't it? That immediate instinct to put up a wall.
Hmm.
You say, oh, I'm fine, even when things feel like they're crumbling inside. You smile, but maybe you just want to cry.
And you tell yourself you should be over it. Like, come on, it's been long enough. Adding that layer of shame on top of the pain.
That pressure is huge. Why do we do that? Why hide it?
Well, the material suggests a few things. Maybe it's fear of being a burden, or maybe we feel weak, like
Yeah.
we're not coping well enough compared to others.
Society doesn't really give us a script for falling apart gracefully, does it?
Not at all. But here's the thing. The core message that came through so clearly, it is absolutely 100% okay to admit you're hurting.
It's not weakness.
No, it's honesty. Radical honesty, really. And that honesty, it's the essential first step. You can't start healing without it.
And it's not just emotional, is it? The physical side is real.
Oh, definitely. The research we looked at really detailed how heartbreak hits your body, your appetite, your sleep.
That foggy thinking.
Yeah, exactly. And how time itself can feel warped, like you're stuck in slow motion while the rest of the world just keeps rushing past.
That feeling, being stuck while everyone else moves on, it's incredibly isolating.
It is. But here's something crucial to hold on to. Even when your heart feels like it's in pieces, you are still whole. You're still here.
You can still feel, still love, still rebuild.
Absolutely. And acknowledging the pain, actually saying, I am hurting, the material frames that not as giving up, but as an act of real courage.
It means you're human.
It means you're not numb,
Ah.
that you care deeply. And in a culture that often pushes us to just move on quickly, honoring that truth in yourself is, well, it's vital work.
So if you're listening and you're in that space right now, that sort of in-between place,
Yeah.
give yourself permission. Just be with your heart however it feels.
Okay, so you've given yourself that permission. What comes next? The deep dive is really clear on this. Healing isn't a race.
Right. There's that moment, isn't there? After the shock, maybe the tears have subsided a bit.
And this quiet emptiness settles in, like a space is just cracked open inside you.
And the instinct. Fill it. Fast.
Right. Grab distractions, a new hobby, maybe jump into dating someone new, take on a massive project at work.
Anything to stop that echoing silence.
Exactly. But a really key insight from the material is this. You just can't rush the glue.
The glue.
Yeah. Healing a broken heart isn't like flipping a switch. It's rebuilt by presence. And presence takes time.
There was that analogy, wasn't there? About the cup.
Oh, yeah, that was powerful. Like, imagine a favorite cup falls and shatters. If you frantically try to jam the pieces back together with, like, sticky tape,
It won't work.
it won't hold water. You might even break the shards more. But if you gently clean the pieces, find the right adhesive, and then give it time, let it set, let it settle.
Then maybe it holds water again.
Exactly. It might never look the same. You might see the seams, but it can become beautiful in its own way, and it will be functional again.
So applying that, if weeks, months, maybe even years later, you still feel waves of sadness, that's not failure.
Not at all. The material calls it the glue doing its slow, quiet work. You're not stuck. You are healing. It's just happening on its own timeline.
That really pushes back against the cultural pressure, though. We celebrate bouncing back quickly.
We do. Getting over it fast, not showing the pain. That's what often gets rewarded.
But your heart's not a machine. You can't just reboot it.
No. It needs rest. It needs gentleness. It needs quiet time to just figure out its rhythm again.
And those slow days are okay. Sometimes healing looks like, well, like doing nothing much at all.
Absolutely. Just managing to get up, maybe brush your teeth, just being present in the day. The material really emphasizes that is enough. More than enough sometimes.
And maybe during that quiet time, there's important stuff happening underneath.
That's the idea. Your heart learning a new beat, maybe tentatively trying to trust again after being hurt, holding on to some fragile hope that, maybe not all connections end this way.
That takes a kind of quiet courage, doesn't it?
Immense courage.
Okay, let's talk about something that trips a lot of people up. The setbacks. or what feel like
Oh,
setbacks.
yeah. The pain coming back when you least expect it.
Like a song on the radio or a specific phrase someone uses, maybe even just a smell.
And bam, you're right back in that raw feeling.
And it's so easy to think, oh no, I've messed up. I'm going backwards.
Right. But the way this material reframes it is actually quite beautiful, these moments. They aren't setbacks. They're memory.
Memory.
And memory isn't the enemy of healing. It's just part of being human. It means what you lost, what you experienced mattered deeply.
So feeling the pang of memory doesn't mean you're failing at healing.
No. It might even mean your heart is still open, still capable of feeling, even while it's mending.
What about that voice inside, though? The one that says, shouldn't I be over this by now?
That voice. The material is very firm on this.
Yeah.
Healing has no deadline. Zero.
No perfect pace, no checkbox on a calendar.
None. It takes the time it takes,
Yeah.
and there's absolutely no need to fake it till you make it.
You don't have to act strong before you feel strong.
No. Or perform wellness. Like you have to look okay to deserve rest or compassion. You don't need to look healed to be healing.
So what do you need?
Trust, mostly. Trust that this ache won't define you forever. Trust that slow isn't weak. Trust that every quiet day, every time you just get through it, is like another stitch needing your heart back together.
And it's okay if you're not ready for whatever's next.
Totally okay. Not ready to love again. Fine. Not even ready to hope again. That's okay too. No need to force a leap.
Just keep showing up for yourself.
Exactly. That's how the sources suggest healing really happens. Presence and patience. Not noise, not quick fixes, just that quiet glue doing its work.
Let's shift a bit. Sometimes, after the initial pain starts to maybe ebb slightly, something else gets really loud.
Shame.
Yeah, those questions start swirling, don't they? How can I have been so blind? Why wasn't I enough? Was it all just a waste? All that time? All that love?
And maybe the hardest one, did love itself lie to me? That feeling of being betrayed, not just by a person, but by the whole idea of love?
If you felt that, you're definitely not alone. The material really acknowledges that depth of disillusionment.
It does.
Yeah.
But it also offers this gentle counter-narrative.
Yeah.
Something to maybe hold on to.
Which is?
Love didn't fail you. It grew you. Not everything that hurts you has betrayed you. Sometimes it's actually transformed you.
Grew you. How so?
Well, there's this personal story shared in one source that really hit home for me about a relationship that felt so right, full of laughter, connection.
The good stuff.
Totally. But then, slowly, almost imperceptibly, things started to fade. Little things. Mismatched hopes for the future, maybe growing apart.
And it ended?
Yeah. And the immediate feeling was just numbness. Sitting on the kitchen floor thinking, what was the point of any of that?
A feeling of meaninglessness. Wasted time.
Exactly. But the story describes how months later something started to shift, a softening.
What changed?
It wasn't about finding fault or figuring out exactly what went wrong. It was more like discovering profound things about herself.
Like what?
Like how she truly wanted to be treated in a relationship, discovering parts of herself she hadn't known existed before, getting clear on how she loved and what she really needed in return.
So the pain didn't disappear, but it gained meaning.
Precisely. The pain was given meaning through the learning, and that reframes the whole experience. Heartbreak breaks you open, yes. But then it holds up a mirror.
And what does the mirror show?
Not necessarily your flaws or what was wrong with you, but maybe the depth of your ability to care, the resilience you didn't know you had to survive it, the immense love you're still capable of holding.
So the love itself wasn't the mistake, even if the relationship ended.
That's the core idea. The specific situation might not have lasted, maybe the person wasn't right long term, but the part of you that was willing to be vulnerable, to open up, to dare to love,
That part is okay.
that part is sacred, never a failure. Loving is always a risk, right? Every time you open your heart, you're implicitly saying, I'm willing to be changed by this. I'm willing to hope.
And that willingness, that's where the growth happens.
That's where it begins. And the wisdom you gain from these experiences, it's huge.
like understanding your own vulnerability better.
Yes, and how deeply you feel things.
Mm.
The specific ways you crave connection or honesty or tenderness. These aren't wounds to hide. They're wisdom, things to carry forward.
What if someone broke your heart by not choosing you? That feeling of rejection.
That's so tough. But the material offers this perspective. It doesn't mean you were unworthy. It just means for whatever reason they couldn't meet you where your soul was ready or needed to go.
And what if you were the one who ended it?
If you ended something because it genuinely wasn't helping you grow anymore, that's framed as a really powerful act of self-love. knowing your limits, knowing what serves you.
So there's this idea of shifting the question. Instead of, why did this happen to me?
Try asking gently, what did this love teach me about me?
Ah, that's a big shift. From blame to reflection?
Exactly. It helps you see love less like a battlefield where you won or lost, and more like a classroom. Maybe a messy one, maybe beautiful, maybe painful, but full of these tender lessons.
So love didn't fail. It taught. It changed you, gave you something valuable to carry forward, even if the person didn't stay.
Yeah, and maybe that's how you heal. Not by forgetting, but by letting the experience make you wiser.
Okay, there's that stage in heartbreak, and it can last a while, where the pain feels like it's just everything.
Like it's consumed you.
Yeah. You wake up with it, it's the last thing on your mind at night. And you start to genuinely wonder, is this just who I am now? Am I just a broken person?
Will I ever feel real joy again? That fear is so common.
If that feels familiar to you listening, there's a really clear, gentle truth that runs through all this material.
You are not your pain.
Say that again?
You are not your pain.
Yeah.
Your feelings,
Yeah.
absolutely real. They matter profoundly. They deserve to be felt. But they do not define the whole of who you are.
I like the analogy they used about the weather.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Pain is like the weather. Sometimes it's a huge storm. Sometimes it's just a persistent drizzle. It passes through you, might circle back.
But it's not you.
Exactly. You are the sky. Vast, strong, capable of holding all kinds of weather, but ultimately separate from it. Always whole underneath.
Pain definitely colors your world, though, like putting on tinted glasses.
It really does. Everything looks different, feels heavier. But the world itself hasn't fundamentally changed. Just your perception through that lens of pain.
There was that poignant moment described, looking in the mirror while brushing your teeth, and just not recognizing the person looking back. Seeing the tired eyes, maybe new lines etched by stress or grief, thinking, who is this?
But then noticing something else.
Yeah.
Noticing the part of you that was still there. Quietly going through the motions, brushing the teeth, just showing up, even in the fog, even with the sadness.
That quiet part.
The material suggests that's the real you, the part that doesn't give up, even when everything feels heavy and unrecognizable.
So if you don't feel like yourself right now, it doesn't mean you're lost.
Not lost forever, maybe just in the middle of becoming the next version of yourself.
Because grief and heartbreak do change you.
They do. They soften some edges, maybe harden others, but they don't erase your core. Healing isn't about trying to rewind and go back to who you were before the pain.
It's about discovering who you are now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Discovering this new version of you, the one who carries the wisdom, the tenderness, the quiet resilience you earned through this.
And if you're still feeling sad, if the ache is still there.
Remember, feeling sad doesn't mean you're failing at healing. It means your heart is telling its truth. And listening to that truth is part of healing.
So what can you do on those heavy days when the world feels like it's moving on without you?
Just pause. Maybe take a really deep breath. You could even place a hand on your chest, feel your own heartbeat.
Feel that light.
Yeah, that's life. That's you, still here, still capable of immense feeling, which also means you're still capable of joy, even if it feels miles away right now.
You don't have to pretend to be bright and shiny to be lovable.
Not at all. You don't need to be over it to be strong. You don't have to prove anything to anyone, least of all yourself.
You're not the pain.
You are the one experiencing the pain.
And that means...
That means you're also the one capable of experiencing love again, laughter again, peace again, even if it feels impossible right now.
You don't have to get there today.
No, just know the road exists, and you're already on it. Every small, quiet, incredibly brave step you take matters.
Okay, so let's picture this. The initial storm has passed. Maybe the constant tears have dried up. You started, tentatively, picking up some pieces.
You're not actively bleeding anymore, maybe, but your heart feels bruised, tender.
Right. Not broken, maybe, but not quite whole either. Where do you go from that place?
This is where the material talks about rebuilding, but specifically rebuilding with softer hands.
Softer hands. What does that mean?
Well, after you've been really hurt, the natural instinct is often to become guarded, to build walls. Not necessarily healthy boundaries, but thick, high walls that shout, never again.
And maybe those walls feel safe for a while. Necessary, even.
They might. But the danger, the sources point out, is that those walls can become cages. They keep more pain out, sure, but they also lock you in. They keep connection and potentially new love out too.
So how do you rebuild without hardening completely?
It starts small, with really gentle acts of self-compassion, being kind to yourself, especially on those really quiet, flat days.
Noticing what brings even a tiny bit of peace.
Exactly. Maybe it's taking a walk without your phone. Maybe it's finally writing down some feelings in a journal. Maybe it's the quiet strength of saying no to something that drains you.
Or the courage to say yes to something small that might nourish you.
Precisely. Little things.
Yeah.
And slowly, gradually, something starts to shift.
You rebuild trust.
Yes, but maybe first, trust in yourself. You start to realize that even though someone else hurt you, you didn't abandon yourself. You kept showing up, you kept feeling, you kept breathing. That's a quiet, powerful strength.
That is foundational.
It really is. And here's a powerful thought to hold on to during this phase. Healing doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean erasing the person or the story.
What does it mean then?
It means carrying the love, carrying the lessons learned, but setting down the heavy burden of the pain. You can honor what was, what it meant, without needing it back in your life today.
And then maybe eventually openness again.
When you are ready, and only when you feel ready, you can begin to open your heart again. Not because you magically forgot the heartbreak, but because you've actually grown through it and maybe even beyond it.
So rebuilding with softer hands, it's about moving forward gently.
Gently. Yes. Led by your own inner wisdom, not driven by fear. It's about choosing love again, but maybe starting with the love and compassion you offer yourself first.
And you get to decide what that looks like now.
Absolutely. What kind of life feels warm and true to you now? What kind of connections do you want to build? What kind of love do you want to give to yourself and maybe down the line to others?
You rebuild from wisdom, not desperation.
That's the goal. And maybe looking back one day, you'll realize the heartbreak didn't destroy you. It actually rebuilt you.
Slower, maybe?
Slower, definitely softer,
Yeah.
but ultimately so much stronger.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground. We've reached the end of this deep dive into healing a broken heart.
Yeah. And if there's one thing to take away from all this material, it's a gentle reminder. You are not behind schedule in your healing. Wherever you are is okay.
And you're not weak for feeling things deeply.
Not at all. You're human. You're learning. You're forgiving.
Yeah.
You're transforming, even when it doesn't feel like it.
If anything we talked about resonated, maybe even brought up some emotion, maybe a tear, that's perfectly okay.
Yeah, it just means you're listening. Listening deeply to your own heart, which is so important.
You don't have to have it all figured out today. No need to fix everything or find some kind of perfect closure right now.
Just carry this one gentle truth, maybe. Hold on to it.
What's that?
You are worthy of the love you give, especially the love you give yourself, right now, exactly as you are.
So rest tonight. Let your heart just breathe.
Give it some space.
And maybe, just maybe, trust. Trust deeply in your own capacity to love again, gently, slowly, truly.